everybody. Today I am going to be bringing you a video that lots of you have been waiting for. I have been working on it, changing the recipe back and forward till I'm 100% happy with it. But today we are going to be making that gorgeous whipped soap that I know you all want to use. So this is a base that you can make yourself. I am going to give you the recipe through the whole thing, and of course you can tweak or change things a little bit if you don't like that recipe. You can take out the shea and things like that and put extra things in. So this is my version of my whipped soap. So this is my Nelson whipped soap, we will call it, for this purpose. So this one is going to have some beautiful products in it and it feels absolutely lovely. So let's pop the camera down and we will get making. Now this is just for myself at home, everybody. It is definitely for myself. When you're making this, the most important thing is sanitizing everything. I know that you probably already know that and you've heard that a million times, but that is definitely true. This one is for my daughter Annie. I'm going to be making some for her because she has asked me to. So anyway, let's get going and we'll make this beautiful, like I said, some foaming butter. Alright, so we are ready. So we've got our particular jug on here, because remember this is going to be similar to making a lotion. We need to do the water phase and then we also need to do the oil phase. So in here, like I said, we have the water phase, the first bit of the operation, so to speak. So I've got my scale here. I've torn it out in a scale. Let me just change this to grams. I do everything in grams. Even if you're in another country and you use ounces, I definitely suggest you use grams, because grams get closer to the exact measurement and you want this to be right, because if your grams are off, then what actually can happen is it can go wrong. It can just be too liquidy or just not thick enough and so on. So anyway, let's get going. Like I said, I'm going to tell you each bit as we go along, so hopefully you know, we get all this right. So the first bit we're going to do is we're going to be adding in 15 grams of glycerin. Now you can do a portion of glycerin and sorbitol if you want, but I personally just like the glycerin. So like I said, 15 grams, and it's just vegetable glycerin that we're adding in there. The second bit we're going to add in is cocoa betaine, which lots of people know this as bubble up as well. So let me tear this out. And this whole thing too, just to let everybody know, sorry, I'm fiddling with the scale at the moment. This is going to make roughly 200 grams. But remember, you know, you're going to foam it up. You can add your sugar, coffee beans, whatever you want to add to this as well later on if you want to make a scrub. So now we need 18 grams of this, like I said, cocoa betaine. There is a longer word, but I can't remember it. So, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I know I'll pronounce it wrong. I'm not as up to date with pronouncing the words as some of those other clever ladies on YouTube. So, but anyway, I'm sure you know what I mean. So now we've got that in there. So let's just move that aside because we've got that bit there. So now our water, we are going to add 15 grams of water. Now I've got a few different portions for my water. So if you want to add all water and you don't want aloe juice or anything else, you can just swap that for water. But like I said, we're going to go 15 grams. I'm just making sure I'm 100% right. So we've got 15 grams in here. So I did actually add a little bit more, so that's okay, but usually I would add this. So this is aloe juice. I would add 5 grams of this, but I did add more water, so it doesn't matter. But like I said, so next we would be adding 5 grams of the aloe juice, and then that's it. So okay, so that's for our water portion. So we've done that. Now the next bit we need to add into this portion, because this is just our water portion, remember, is we want to be adding in a product called SCI. Now SCI, it comes in this particular one here. So this is what it is. Now it's really important that you wear a mask. So I'm going to get a mask in a minute. I won't be talking while I've got the mask and while I'm mixing it. But basically for this, it's going to be 35 grams and we're going to add it into that. We are going to mix it up. But of course, you do need a mask. Please don't do this without a mask. You'll cough and choke and everything. You do need a mask. And I know people are going to say, can I do it without this? No, you can't. It's not going to work without this. You definitely need to put that in. So let me just grab a mask and I'll be back and we'll do this next bit. Alright, so we have done the first one. It is sitting on the boil. I have not turned it on yet, but we will do that in a minute. And then basically this is the second one that we're going to be doing, or the second half of this mixture. And I know you couldn't hear me or see me properly when I was mixing that, but even with the mask, it made me cough a bit. So it's super strong. So you definitely 100% need a mask, everybody. Please don't do that without a mask. Alright, so I've done my mummy lecture for now. So now let's get on to this bit. So we need to add 15 grams of shea butter. So I'm just going to go and grab that. So I have some in my little pot here. So let me just tear this out again, because I didn't do that before. So like I said, we want 15 grams in here. All right, so that's right. And now we are going to be adding in some fractionated coconut. Now there's 14 grams of this. Now the fractionated coconut, this is the liquid coconut. So if you're a bit confused what it is, it means the liquid one in a bottle. It's definitely not the hard one that goes hard. So this is the liquid one in the bottle. So we'll just add that in. Just 1 more gram. All right, so like I said, so 15 grams of that one, okay? So now we are going to add in some emulsifying wax NF. So we want to add that in. We need 10 grams of that. So I'm just going to go and grab that. So let's just grab that. Like I said, this is for my daughter. This is not for selling. If it was for selling, I would definitely have it more prepared than what I'm doing now. But I'm sure you understand. I'm just really doing this to show you, because when I first started, there was no recipe. I was like, where is there a recipe? You know, it was really hard. You had to actually buy, you know, which I actually did. Sorry, I dropped that. I actually did buy, you can buy a recipe from a lady on Etsy called DIY. And I did buy it, but I just never used it. And when I got it, it's really amazing. But when I got it, I was just learning how to do this. And can I tell you, when I was actually learning, it looked very confusing to me because it had a lot of words I didn't understand, So I will definitely say making this is something a bit more on the experience level. So I'd say you really want to be more experienced before you go to make this. I know that's probably not what lots of people want to hear, but it is a little bit more advanced. So now we've got that. The last cab off the rank and the most important ingredient in this whole thing is the stearic acid. So we need 5 grams of that. So let me just tear out my scale. I'm just going to move my little container. So like I said, we need 5 grams of this. And, you know, look, it's always good. You can half this recipe if you just want to see if it's going to work. Because it's no good doing a recipe and then it doesn't work and then you get upset. And, you know, sometimes it's your process or something. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to put both of these onto our little boil, which I just have a tiny saucepan electric one in here because this is my studio. And then we want to melt everything down at the same temperature. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to just put a little bit of cling wrap over the top just to make sure no extra steam and thing gets in. So let's go and do that bit next. So now that I have just turned this on, we're going to turn it on to medium. So turn both of the little notches on medium. Like I said, this isn't a little electric one. And now I have my cling wrap here. This is just like a plastic film for anybody in another country. You might call it something else. And then we're just going to put it over the top of these. Don't worry, it's not going to burn. It won't burn or anything. So because it's not touching the stove, it's obviously, it is going to get warm, but it won't burn. I've used this lots of times. And I used to think, oh, you can't put that on there, it will burn. But anyway, and then we're just going to let this melt down. So there's no need to worry about temperatures or anything like that so much with this, because literally all we're going to do is let this melt down. Once it's melted, we are going to pour the water part into the oil part. I hope that this has been an easy way to show you, but like I said, we're going to let this melt down. I'll bring you back. I'm going to show you the next step, but all of our ingredients is in here. Of course, we do need, our preservative needs to go in. We will be adding vitamin E in this as well. And we will be adding in some fragrance as well. But if you don't want fragrance, you want to make a base amount, you can. This will last for roughly 3 to 6 months depending. So anyway, that's basically where it is at that. So we'll leave this, like I said, and then let's come back in a few minutes. Now I thought I would show you what it looks like. So here you can see this is the first one, and this of course is the oil phase. So they are pretty much melted down. So we can definitely take them off and go on to the next stage, which is the fun stage. So here you go, this is the fun stage. This is the first one that we've got the stearic acid in. You want to make sure it's totally and utterly melted because you don't want any little granules of that. Now what we're going to do is we're literally going to take the oil straight off, pop it straight into this, and pretty much that is it. And when I first started doing this, I thought, how easy is this? Now, I did learn this. If anyone wants to know exactly where I learnt this from, I actually learnt this from a YouTube channel called Whole Elise. And she actually does this, and, you know, she makes it nice and easy. I really enjoy her channel. And so I have to give the credit to her, definitely. And the only thing I did is just changed a few things to suit me because she actually made this into a scrub. And for me, I didn't want to make this into a scrub. I literally wanted mine just to be the foaming butter. So this is literally all you do. We are literally just mixing it up, and then if you can see, it's already come into this beautiful paste. So now what we want to do is it's mixed up well enough. You don't actually need this that I said before. I made a mistake telling you that. So pretty much that is it. It is totally mixed up. You can see it looks like a paste. And now we just want to leave this to sit so that it can cool down to room temperature. Once it's done that, we will come back. I will add the preservatives in, some vitamin E, and all the other things that we want to add in, which all it is some fragrance oil, vitamin E, and so on. And once we've done that, the next stage after doing all those is then getting your stick blender, and then of course whipping it if you want this to be, you know, like as we said before, if you want this to be your particular, you know, whipped soap or your whipped butter soap, whichever you want to call it. I actually call mine a whipped cream. And that is it. So look how easy that is, and that tiny little bit in there is going to fill quite a good sized jar. So I'll show you the jar. So it is going to fill a jar of this size. So how sweet is this? So that's definitely the jar it's going to fill. So like I said, we've got everything in here, don't we? So like I said, leave this. We need it to cool right down, and then we'll come back and we're going to add everything else in that we need to add in. We are back, everybody. So here we are. It's looking beautiful. It's been sitting here for a while. It is at the right temperature. So now let's just add in our preservative. So I've already tipped out my scale. So now we're going to be adding in 2 grams because this is a small amount, and you actually can't skip this. You really can't skip putting the preservative in. I know you probably think, well, it's a bit annoying. Do I need it? You definitely need it because this does have water in it. We've talked about this all the time. Just make sure you mix it in well, although we are going to be using our little whip in a minute. So I'm also going to be adding in 2 grams of natural vitamin E. And you can always tell the difference if it's synthetic or not, because the natural ones are brown, kind of gooey, looks a little bit like honey. So that's what we're going to be adding in for that, mixing it in. And then of course, if you've got a scent that you want to add or essential oils, you can add that in now as well. I'm just not going to add that in because we actually don't want that in this one. And pretty much that's it. So now let's just get the whip. We're going to whip it up, although it's nice and thick on the end of this. So let me just shake this off. I'm making a mess, aren't I? Anyway, so here we go. So now I've just got this on the end of my stick blender. This is just an attachment that comes with mine. So let's just whip it up. Now I wanted to show you as we whip it up. Can you just see how fluffy it's starting to look already? If I can show you. So if we can see nice and close, I mean, I know this is a really small batch, and I said 200 before, but it's not. It's like 150 or something grams. So it's a tiny batch, but that's okay because that's what we want to see. Now remember, this is exactly the same as everything else. If you're making this, you know, if you're making this particular one, just make sure you don't over whip it or it will fizzle out. So just whip it for about 30 seconds at the most. And then we are done, and we're going to pop it straight into a beautiful little container. Now I thought I would bring you back to show you how gorgeous it looks. Doesn't it look delish? So now I will tell you that this one is really firm. So if you don't want it as firm, then I would actually add maybe another 25 grams of water in it. But that's all part of your testing. And you can see, like, although I dropped it, it's very, very firm, you know, like, if we can kind of show you. So it's still a little gooey, but you know, it's looking beautiful. Like, honestly, it looks so nice. So, and of course, if you're adding a fragrance, that will loosen it up a tiny bit as well. But either way, we know this is a win-win. So I'm going to pop it in a piping bag just so that I can show you how it's worked out. And as you know, I've given you the recipe as well. So just make sure, hopefully you watched the whole video and you didn't fasten to the end, because I've definitely given you the recipe throughout the video as well. But if you're on Patreon, I'll also give you the recipe on Patreon. So I hope you absolutely loved making this. I loved it. It was super fun. Anyway, like I said, you've got all the recipe. Now I'll come back and we will just pop it in the piping bag. Now we are back. So here you go. I've popped it in the piping bag. I did add a little bit of a yellowy type mica in it just because it's for my daughter and it's going to be a honey kind of scent. So you can see it's quite firm. I reckon, I honestly think we could add some more water to this next time, but I'm going to do a few more tests. But I do have some that I've already tested in some different scents, but for now, let's just pop it in so you can see how beautiful and thick it is. Let me move it back so you can actually see. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to actually measure how much is actually in here. So let me just tap it, because you want to see how much you're going to get if you're going to be selling these. It's really important. And for me, I'm going to be selling these for 75 grams. So that is my 75 grams. It is 100% filled up in there. And you could probably get 100 out of these ones. But remember, the more you whip this, the more, you know, the less you're going to get in here, because it will become like aerated. So that's really important to remember as well. But anyway, doesn't it look beautiful? We'll give it a tap. So there you go. We have actually made it. It's looking fantabulous. So I'm sure you guys will love this. Look how pretty that is. So all you got to do now is pop your labels on. I've already made some labels. So these are my labels. They're going to go on a bit later. You can make those on Canva. It's really easy. Just watch some of my tutorials and you'll see how to do that. Anyway, good making, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.